Hello and welcome to another episode of Nerd Age, where we discuss everything nerdy. My name is Mick, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts Josh,
What's up?
Corey,
Hello,
and John.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the show, guys. Today we're going to talk about the amazing movie Morbius that just came out by Sony. It was released last week. We've all seen it, I believe. Mm-hmm. So we're going to discuss non-spoilers at first, and then go into spoilers, and then give our ratings.
Was that the official name? The Amazing Morbius movie?
The Amazing Morbius movie.
Amazing Morbius.
That's what they should do with everything.
Everything that's
The
Spider-Man
Amazing
related?
Spider-Man, the Amazing Morbius, the Amazing Craven. Is that the next one that's coming out?
Yeah.
Amazing Craven.
It's a good way to build hype for
Right.
sure.
That's
Yeah. It's brand continuity. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys watched it together. So how was your guys' experience?
It was good. Yeah, it wasn't. When we first got there, I thought that the thing that always happens to us is we're going to have some annoying people in the theater.
Yeah.
And there was a group of people that sat in front of us. And during the trailers, there was one guy that was doing his typical, like, stand-up routine where he'd make jokes and people would laugh. And he's like, oh.
It was you.
During the
This was
movie?
You were doing that.
During the trailers.
Oh, wow.
There's always the guy that makes a joke and he makes it loud enough towards the end of a trailer so that the rest of the people hear. And if he hears people laugh, then it gives him like, okay, like
Confidence.
I'm going to keep
doing this.
Yeah.
People are enjoying this.
I'm a
And so
funny guy.
I thought that was going to like carry on to the movie, but they were actually really good. So,
Nice.
so the experience was fine. We went with Jason, our nephew. Shout out to Jason. And then Josh and Mick. So yeah, it was good.
Nice.
And you went today, right?
Yeah, I went solo dolo.
Solo experience, baby.
Yeah. I don't. It's
pretty cool,
It's
huh?
just not my. It's just not
It's
it.
a nice way to do it.
I was just like, and I was sitting in the very back, and there was like a couple next to me, but I was like, I mean, it was nice because I had like a million seats next to me.
Yeah.
I had plenty of room. But yeah, no, it was just it's
Just felt a little pathetic.
there's
That's
something
right.
about the first watch that's sad when you don't have someone to join you on the first watch.
Sounds like paradise.
If it's second or third watch, yeah, I'm down for solo. That's fine.
Did you go by yourself to watch the Batman, Mick?
Twice, yeah.
Okay, see? Huh?
Yeah, see, I think that's totally fine. Yeah, especially if you love the movie so much, you know.
Yep.
But
Especially if you have no friends.
That too, yeah. Nobody wants to go with me.
but yeah,
I took my mom. She
Oh,
went.
nice.
She went with me at one viewing, which was fun.
nice.
She liked it.
I
Anyway.
actually thought about picking up my mom. I know we're not reviewing it at all, but I'm actually kind of glad because yeah, the movie. Let's get to the reviewing of it.
So the other bat type movie, Morbius. What do you guys think? Non-spoilers. Josh, what do you think?
Going into it, it was like everything online was like, this movie's trash. It's the worst superhero movie in a long time.
Was it sitting at 17%?
Yeah.
Something like that.
score.
And
Yeah.
so my expectations were super low.
Yeah, that's super low.
I think that maybe helped. Overall, it was pretty just like run of the mill. Like there was nothing in the movie that I was like, that's terrible. I absolutely hate this. And there was nothing in the movie where I was like, oh my gosh, that blew my mind. I think it was just like a pretty generic superhero movie. I liked the character. I liked the Morbius is always. I mean, I only really have reference or knowledge of him from the Spider-Man cartoon, so I don't have like an extensive knowledge of the Morbius character. But I thought I liked what they did with him. They did cool stuff. His fighting was cool. He looked really cool. But yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part. I wasn't. It's not a. I don't know whether or not I'd watch it multiple times.
Is it a rewatch?
It's like a one time or maybe a second time, but
By yourself?
nah, probably not. Probably when Crystal wants, like when it comes out on streaming, I'll be like, yeah, Crystal, let's watch Morbius since you didn't watch it. But yeah, I mean, I think pretty straightforward. Nothing too amazing, I don't think.
The not amazing Morbius.
Yeah, the not amazing Morbius.
What about you, Sea-Dog?
I thought the movie was, bland. Actually, is what I'd say. Vanilla, and not in the tasty kind of way. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of missed opportunities. Honestly, I think that I think the character has a lot of potential, but a lot of the ways they told his story didn't really allow you to make a really meaningful connection with that character, and so that's kind of my biggest struggle. Because if you can't connect with the main character, guess what? The movie sucks, and you don't care about how it resolves. You don't care about him. So I was thinking about it on the drive back home after the movie, and I was like, yeah, I wish they could have done some scenes differently, and but all in all, I really liked the way they did some of his abilities, the way they visualize it. Very cool. It gives me the same kind of vibes as like Venom, where visually I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things they did was very interesting and cool. But just lacked that thing you can't name. The connection. A lot of parts of it were just kind of they just fell flat for me. But all in all, I liked this. I like it on paper. Does that make sense? I guarantee you, when they wrote that out, they're like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." If you talk about it, the story beats, you're like, "Yeah, that should work." But it just didn't work out too much for me. But I think that has to do with some of the secondary characters and how they're portrayed and what they did or what they didn't do, but what they said is anyway. So it was all right. It was just all right, but it was on a little positive side for me.
Okay. I really didn't care for the movie very much. Similar issues that you had. It felt like it was missing the connective tissues that made it a good plot, a good flowing story. That it just, to me, I could really tell that the movie was edited and chopped up. Things were missing that should have been there. Scenes were in weird orders that to me just kind of made the movie a little bizarre. I thought Jared Leto was fine. I mean, I don't think any of the actors did a bad job or anything. It's just there wasn't the story telling devices just weren't there for me. And I was looking forward to the movie. I was disappointed to hear that the movie was getting trashed by a lot of people, but so I think my expectations were pretty low, and it was, I think, it met where my low expectations were, maybe even a little bit below it. But I don't think it's not the worst superhero movie I've ever seen. It's forgettable, and I probably won't go back to it.
Sure,
but some of the visuals were cool. The bat radar, how he puts it, some of that superpower stuff is pretty cool. The character design was, pretty much straight out of the comics, and not done in a cheesy way, so I thought he looked fine. But the big part for me is just the editing, and the story just really lost me, because it's weird. It felt like it rushed, and it also felt like it was dragging at the same time. And to me, it was just a very hard movie to sit through.
Okay. What about you,
It's a masterpiece. 10 out of 10. Uh-huh. I land more with Josh and Corey, where it's just kind of I got done with it. I was like, that was a movie. It wasn't something that blew, nothing like you guys said that was that's incredible. And there was nothing that I was like, that's awful. So it was kind of just right down the middle the whole way for me. I thought Jared Leto was really good. He acted well as a character. I thought the dynamics between him and Milo, who we'll talk about in spoilers probably, thought that was well done. So everything kind of felt like the acting was good, the visuals were good, nothing was cheesy. This is what I'll say that's true. That I appreciated about the movie, which should be probably makes me give it a higher score than you guys. But one of my pet peeves, you guys know this about Marvel movies, is the constant jokes, constantly. This didn't have that. So to me, it wasn't the one-liners, where Morbius is dropping a one-liner and every character seems like they have their moment to give a laugh. This didn't really have much humor in it. And so for me, that was a positive, because it wasn't the constant, oh, here we go, another joke. It kind of was it took itself seriously. Now, for better or for worse, when you make a movie about a vampire dude, that has superpowers, and you take yourself serious, some people are going to hate that. For me, it was I enjoyed it for that. it's on par for me with the Venom movies. Stuff that I'm like, yeah, I probably will never watch them again, but it was like, it's very middle of the road to me. So that's kind of, I thought the music was good. There were some things that felt a lot like Batman Begins, like the music cues that I was like, I wonder if they're making reference when the bats come in, the dun 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 dun. Like there was a lot of stuff like that I thought was cool. So yeah, for the most part, if I were to say like hated it or enjoyed it, I lean more on the positive side of it, like middle of the road, but probably with a little positive to it.
Sure. Well, while we're at it, what do you rate it?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Just go ahead and stop being weird about it.
If I could have maybe come up with some sort of...
6.7.
Okay, great. Mick?
I think initially I gave it a 3. I'll probably give it like a... I'll probably get it like a 3.5.
Three is like when I was actively angry at Peacemaker, or no, what was it called? Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I was verbally and visually like angry, and like my body, I was pissed off. Okay, so you did not enjoy this.
No.
Wow. Okay. I think I'm in the 6s. I'm probably 6.4. If I had to throw it out. Shoop.
I'm like 6.1.
Okay. Yeah. I actually think to your whole like, oh yeah, I liked it because it didn't have any humor. I actually thought that it would have been nice to have just smart humor, not the cheesy one-liners. It would have been nice to have little nods to like, smarter humor. I would have liked that, to have a little bit of brevity to it. Yeah. But I did like the serious aspect of it. But that's the non-spoiler review, yeah?
Yeah,
Non-spoiler.
going straight into spoilers.
So if you haven't watched the movie, you can click off, go do something else. But yeah, let's get into spoilers.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
Sure, I'll go.
Go for it, Josh. Well, we all look at him. Who's going to do it? You.
I mean, like we said, it wasn't like an amazing movie, but I did think that the dynamics between him and Milo were good.
Yeah.
I like their backstory, the way they set them up, kind of like establishing them as like brothers, essentially.
Yeah, the Spartan
through
stuff.
the Spartan thing that they keep repeating. I thought that was cool. And then I actually liked him as a villain, Milo as a villain also. I thought he looked the part. Like what's it, Matt Smith? That's the actor.
Yeah, he's supposed to be Palpatine.
He's a weird looking dude. He's pretty weird looking. And I think he looked cool as a vampire. Like
He's got very distinct features.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that worked really well with the design that they used for him. One big complaint is the fight at the end is like, I hate fight scenes where you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And that was,
This is like
that
just
was
so
that.
zooming,
Yeah.
like on the ground.
Or they like, he like threw him and then it was like,
They went
through the
ground.
ground.
Yeah.
Like 8 feet, or I mean 8 like story. I don't know. It was like, I didn't know what was going on.
Well, you couldn't tell like where in space they
Right.
were.
So that was definitely one part that I was like, that's kind of unfortunate, because all the rest of the fight scenes were cool, and I did like this kind of like they leaned into like the horror aspect of stuff, particularly that scene with the nurse, where she's running down the hallway, doesn't know what's happening.
That was good.
And then just the way they shot it with like the lights shutting off as she gets her blood drained and stuff like that. I thought that was a really cool looking scene, and it played into like the kind of the whole aesthetic of the like, hey, it's a vampire, but
Stalking their prey.
right,
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah, I agree with that stuff. I thought actually the stuff with Milo and him was some of the best part of the movie, because it felt like it made sense how they set it up. The stuff between them and also like their mentor, I can't remember what the guy's name was, but that doctor, like I thought that was really well done. I do feel like some of it was rushed, and I feel like they probably cut some more
Neil
scenes.
Nicholas. What's his name?
That guy. But I just think that was really well done, even like starting off as them as kids and that whole storyline. And it made sense. So one of my pet peeves about villains is that their motivations don't really make sense.
Yeah.
And this one to me made sense, that someone would be like upset at the world for having this sickness, and then his friend doesn't want to give him the antidote, right? And his response is like he's angry at the world. Like you see that with the kids that beat him up. Like he's been treated bad his whole life. So you would think that he would have no like care for people, right? Because the world has been mean to him, bad to him. So I liked that whole aspect of why would his motivations be like that. To me, made sense. So yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that was probably the best part of the movie for me.
Yeah, I think I like that aspect of him being like, I've been waiting my whole life to die, basically. Like, I'm just waiting to die, and finally I can live now, and you're trying to not take that away from me. And then the fact that he's like, now I can live, that means I have to basically kill people and drink their blood, but that's the better trade-off than having to just sit around and wait for me to die, kind of a thing. I thought that was well done.
Yeah. See, you guys are all like, oh yeah, I think that was the best aspect of it. I actually thought that had the most potential was the relationship between him and Milo. And that's actually a big reason why I think the movie fell flat and the conclusion of the movie fell flat for me, because I don't know, like on paper, having the kid get beat up by those kids, so you feel bad for them, you empathize with them. It's like on paper, all this stuff sounds good.
Yeah.
But all I know is what I feel, when I watch it.
Connect with you.
Did not connect. And the relationship with him and the woman doctor, their relationship, I was like, eh.
Yeah, that was,
I didn't really like that either. And so those are like the two big things that you should care about, because that's what, that's basically, he's the bad guy, like Milo's the bad guy, and also himself, he's the bad guy too. And so it's like, you should care about this dynamic. Yeah. And I didn't. And so that's kind of the biggest loss on this movie, I think, for me, is that I didn't care as much about the character. Even though, like, on paper, I was like, yo, they got dealt some bad cards. But then all of a sudden, bang, he's now turning down a Nobel Peace Prize, and he's finding out all this awesome stuff. And it's like, I don't know, it just felt very forced.
Yeah.
And it's like not super relatable, and it's just like, I would have liked...
Well, not to you. I've turned down Nobel Peace Prize.
Of course. You invented fake blood or synthetic blood, and all that stuff. But no, for real, I think that is a big, big oversight. I think on paper, all these things that they did in the movie, that makes sense. Like, I get it. Like, that should work. But it just really didn't work. I think if they did, instead of having him like being beat up at the beginning, maybe having some selflessness, maybe some kind of, showing that he cares for the other person. Like Morbius did that for him and saved his life with the little machine thing. Mm-hmm. Whatever. But like doing something else with Milo, so I cared more about Milo, that would have been great. Because honestly, he got beat up, and then all of a sudden he's just kind of this
rich dude.
This rich kind of D-bag, honestly. Like, he's cool because he's like, yo, we're brothers. We're in this together. But it's like, you could tell, you're like,
Yeah,
he's not good.
They obviously cut more of stuff out that they had.
So that's really the biggest thing that I think it struggles from. I did like the visuals a lot. I liked the boat stuff. I thought that was cool. You got to go on international waters and do all this stuff, and you just wiping people out. That was pretty sick. And the fact that he could control himself not to kill the girl doctor, that was cool, and that meant something. But yeah, it was just it just felt like Venom-y, where it's like, it sounds like on paper this should be a really good movie, but yeah, it just kind of fell flat. That's all. But
yeah, I think the biggest sin of the movie is the lack of character chemistry. Like you were saying, I think even though the relationship with Milo was probably the best, it still, I think, fell pretty flat. I didn't even know there was a romantic relationship there with Martine.
Really?
Yeah, to me that just kind of came out of nowhere.
Oh, that was super obvious for me.
Oh, I thought it was like kind of
like
why is he kissing his sister?
They're coworkers. But no, she like turned down that like really like they talked about like her having better opportunities, and she turned that down and stuff like that.
Work with him,
yeah.
So to me, it just seemed more just coworker relationship, and then at the very end of the movie, it just seemed like they decided to go that route. So to me, it just kind of came out of nowhere. I thought a big misuse was on the Dr. Nicholas. I can't remember the actor's name, but he was in Sherlock Holmes, the Robert Downey Jr. ones.
He's in the Foundation too.
Foundation. And I really like him, but to me, his character was just completely underused. I felt like there was a lot there that probably was edited out for whatever reason.
Which character is this?
The mentor.
The mentor.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that he kills.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was kind of disappointing. Yeah, to me, it just felt like people were just jumping to conclusions too quick in the movie, going to answers that, like, to me didn't make sense for them just to know that right away.
Okay.
I did like the hospital scene, the more horror aspect of it, and I feel like that really should have been like the bread and butter of this movie, is keeping with that feel. But to me, they for whatever reason, this version of the movie, it didn't really have that. It was more of like just an action movie. But to me, like a vampire movie, to me, that's like so obvious to lean more into the horror aspect, and that being the best scene, I think, kind of says something about it. I wish there was more mystery of, like, you know, which, you know, vampire is actually doing the killing. I think that would have been a better story element there, instead of knowing immediately that, you know, Morbius is not the one doing all this stuff.
They had some lead time. There was a moment where I was like, I don't know. Oh, that sucks. You killed that guy or the nurse in the hallway. That sucks. But then, like, it was like 10 minutes or 15 minutes later, he revealed that, which I actually thought was good. It's just, I wish it would have been more heavily weighted towards that aspect of it. But
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the better scenes.
Yeah, me too.
When he goes
I like that.
When he goes and visits him in prison, and then
I did you a
he leaves the cane, and then you see him walking out, and he's like, fine, and you kind of
See,
like,
that
okay,
was the best storytelling that they basically did, because they led you through examples and props and actions and stuff like that, and they didn't tell you the answer, you know, blatantly.
The one thing I will say, when you say, oh, they should have leaned more towards the horror aspect, yeah, if you're going to make it rated R, but I think there's a fine line where they also want kids to go watch this movie because they want to make money. So there's a element where it has to probably lean more to the action side than it does to the horror side. Just because I think it's the same thing with the Batman. If we talk about the Batman, like, I think box office is hurt by certain decisions when you try to go darker with more horror aspects of it, and the trailers show you that you're not gonna get a lot of kids going. Like, people take their families, whereas
Sure,
if you
but
have
there's
like
a lot of
Doctor
people.
Strange
There's a lot
stuff,
of people besides kids that go and see Marvel movies, and there are a lot of horror movies out there that are PG-13.
Yeah.
That still have, like, suspenseful moments. And I'm not saying you have to see, you know, blood and gore. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking more about, like, the suspenseful moments, the what's lurking in the shadows. Is he behind me? You know, that type of stuff that I think that hallway hospital scene.
You just want to be
did.
scarier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Okay.
So to me, that was like the strength of the movie that they just threw away and just really wasn't there. And I don't know. I just, for a movie that was supposed to come out in 2020 originally, it just kind of baffles me that, like, it wasn't good. Like
they delayed it almost 2 years. And what did they do? Like,
yeah, they had so much time to make it as good as they could have, and
I don't know.
To me, it just came across as just a mess. And then, I mean, we haven't even talked about the Michael Keaton scenes, but those were like
best part of the movie.
Those were terrible. I mean, they really did not fit at all. To me, they felt like they were shot like a week ago, just kind of thrown in. To me, it didn't really make sense. I would have liked to have seen the movie that was in those original trailers, more connected with Spider-Man and what was happening with, you know, his movie. I'm assuming it was more connected with that because there was stuff like, you know, where's Spider-Man? Where is he going? Then obviously there were more scenes with Michael Keaton as a Vulture. But yeah, so I don't know. I feel like they really dropped the ball when they had plenty of time to make it a better movie.
Well, here's the thing, though. They delayed it because of COVID, but they weren't really So I'll use the example of the Batman. So the Batman gets delayed, and the $100 million budget ballooned to $200 million because they kept filming and doing stuff. Morbius didn't do that. Morbius budget is $70 million. Like,
oh wow.
So they're not. They didn't add more to it. They just were like, hey, if we release this now, we're not going to make money because no one's going to theaters. So they probably did change some stuff editing wise to fit with No Way Home and that kind of stuff, and to figure out.
I don't think poor job with that.
I don't think they know. I don't think they know where they're allowed to put their universe. I think because Disney probably has stuff. I think it changes every time they put Venom into No Way Home to then just put him back in the same universe, like he wasn't part of it, because I don't think they know. So the whole thing was like that cutscene in Venom, post-credit scene, was just put there for advertising so people to go watch the movie. Oh my gosh, he's in the Spider-Verse, and then at the end of No Way Home, it's like he goes back. It was just a ploy to get more money. So for me, it's kind of like they didn't do anything. They're just trying to adjust it to be like, hey, what can we do here? So I think that's why they feel out of place.
Yeah, and it's bad.
But it makes it bad. I think
because it's out of place.
I think that's kind of stuff. If you want to analyze what makes sense, even in No Way Home, Disney Marvel Spider-Man stuff doesn't make any sense. Like the multiverse doesn't. If you think about it logically, it doesn't make any sense. I think Disney Marvel gets a pass because it's funnier, or because they've had so many more movies. Everyone says, in Feige we trust. Everyone keeps saying Sony needs to give back rights to Disney, which I don't think they should. But I just think there's kind of a anti or a negative Sony view with the Spider-Man universe stuff, that they want Disney to have it back with fans.
I mean, I think that's true, but I think that at this point, I'm leaning more towards that way, because I know that No Way Home was still a Sony movie, but Disney definitely had a part to play in that. This Morbius was a completely Sony movie, and to me, it shows in quality of editing, storytelling, lack of character chemistry, and I'm not saying like, they had 2 more years to make it good, so they should have shot more stuff. I'm saying just in editing and playing with what they had. To me, it's just weird that they took stuff out and made it a worse movie. That's what I'm saying.
But that's making the assumption that they had something that was better.
Yeah.
Right? You're making that guess. We don't know that there's a better edit out there, but hey, maybe that would be good.
But you're just
I know
saying
for a fact that the other version's better.
Okay.
You're just saying that there's other stuff in the trailers. That they clearly were going a certain direction in the trailers, at least.
Yeah.
And then that's completely missing from.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. I'll let you talk. I'll let you finish. But here's the other thing I'll say about, we have no idea if the stuff they cut was cut because Disney didn't allow them to put the Vulture in that. Because there's been stuff in the past where Disney has not allowed them to do things, so they've made choices. It happened with the Amazing Spider-Man movies and the stuff they were going to do. There's emails about it, Kevin Feige saying they couldn't do certain things. So you don't know if the reason things were cut is because they said, you can't use that character in there for those reasons. So I just think the Vulture, there's more stuff that just could be.
The Vulture is
there.
a Sony character, so they can do whatever they want with him. They don't need Marvel or Disney's approval on anything like that.
That's what we said about Amazing Spider-Man with their Sinister Six stuff, and it turned out that Kevin Feige said no on certain things, and they listened to Kevin Feige. And then the Tom Holland stuff happened.
That sounds like a Sony problem.
Well, yeah, but all I'm saying is, like, we don't know the reason things were cut.
But
like,
here's the thing.
There could be more to it
to
than
me,
that.
the reason, like, that's not really the big issue. The issue is that things were cut, that things ended up, I'm assuming, because I'm a psychic, worse than what it originally was.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's true. I mean,
the thing about Sony, though, is it's like, if you know that Marvel's not going to let you do things, then you should probably know that up front, what they're going to let you do, and not be like, we're going to put this stuff in the trailer, and then be like, oh, what? Marvel saw the trailer and was like, what are you doing with the Vulture? They can't be in that movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know there's stuff going on behind the scenes, but if you already know you have to deal with this other company and get permission of what you can and cannot do, you better make sure that what you can do is up to snuff. And the end credit scene was not good.
Right. No.
It was just, hey, let's throw the Vulture in and then tease the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
Which for Morbius at that point doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
where he's like, I'm trying to be a good guy. And then he's like, yeah, we should team up with this crazy guy that just showed up out of nowhere. Yeah. I don't know who he is. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just like, it was just what Sony's does to get more money. That's a bad sign.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. It just doesn't make sense.
Nobody's saying that their rights should get revoked and given to Disney. No one's saying
what
that.
I'm saying is there are people that are using this as like Disney should get control of this, and
I ain't.
That's what I'm saying. Well, even on this podcast, Mick said maybe they should get it back. Not saying that that's what people are saying. And so for me, again, I'm not arguing that the post-credit scenes are good, but what I am saying is Disney Marvel has a ton of post-credit scenes that don't make sense, that tease stuff and then were never used again. But people don't complain about those things. But this is like, how dare they do that? I think there's a bias towards Sony doing that stuff. Disney Marvel gets away with it all the time. And that's just my opinion on it, because there's a ton of post-credit scenes that don't make sense or they never follow through.
But there's a lot of them out of 30 movies now. Yeah, more than less of them. Or I mean, the majority of them they've delivered on.
Yeah.
That was a struggle.
But when there's a bad one, it's not like, hey, revoke Feige of his powers to do post-credits.
Right, but it's because they've earned the trust. They've said, oh, you've delivered on all these. You get a one-off. You're like, okay, whatever. That didn't do anything. Sony's have been, Venom's he's in a hotel room, and he's in the other one. Okay. And then this one is the Vulture shows up. So they haven't earned anything because there hasn't been a good one yet.
Yeah.
There hasn't been one tease that's like, wow, that's incredible. It blew my mind. That's all I'm saying for the, about talking about Marvel Disney, which I don't know how we got onto that topic.
Yeah, I don't know. But
you guys are driving this train.
It's a discussion. That's how we got there.
I call them how I see it. There are some Marvel post-credit scenes that I don't like, but that doesn't mean that I am going to turn a blind eye to the Sony movies either. I mean, there are some that are terrible in Marvel.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't give a crap about post-credit scenes. They're fun, and they're supposed to be fun and supposed to be for the fans, and they're supposed to tease something, and it's just to create hype. So whether or not it was like amazing or not, like I really don't care. I cared about the movie. The movie wasn't fantastic. So I mean, I think it's like negative. Like I didn't like the movie, and then it's like, oh, this post-credit scene, oh, it's trash. Like it's just like comboing off of negativity, and it's like I get that. I get why that exists. But I don't really care about post-scene credits. But I'm like, when it comes to like timing and like, oh, they want to do the Vulture, like maybe they were going to do the Vulture some more in the actual story. It's like, I guarantee you it's way more complicated than what we're kind of like putting out there for examples. I bet there's a lot of issues that went on behind the scenes. I guarantee it. So yeah, it's too bad. That's too bad, because that would have been cool to see him more active.
Yeah.
I still don't think it would have solved anything, though. I still think there's a huge issue with his character development. I think that the whole ending was scuffed.
More Vulture.
I don't think Vulture would have solved anything. Anything. Maybe for Vulture fans, they would have liked the movie. You know what I mean? Like that might have helped them, but it would have. Maybe if the movie got longer, they had more space to do and develop some stuff. Yeah. Maybe that could have helped. But that's like writing. That's like 30% more movie.
Right.
Like, and maybe that could save the movie. So if that does exist, you're right, 100%. If they have that edit out there, you're 100% right.
The 4-hour Morbius.
But I doubt it. I doubt it.
Who's even the director?
I don't know.
Release the Jared Leto cut.
Yeah. Oh, boy. But yeah, so, I think the movie was all right. I think my, it's a 6.4 or something like that. Yeah. Because I don't think I left the movie like all angry at it. I was like, all right, that's cool. Because you're right. I think you said our only experience with Morbius was with the
90s cartoon.
Yeah, the cartoon. And he was a good guy, you know?
Yeah. I think so. last thing I'll say, just in general, the one thing that drives me crazy is it has a 17% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, but it has like a 70% audience score. So like the majority of people that are going to watch it are liking it. Like, not saying it's amazing, but it's like probably like our kind of reviews of like, well, it was entertaining. So for me, when people don't go to a movie based on what critics say, you know, and they use that, I just think go to see a movie. If you're interested in seeing a movie, go see it and make up your own mind. You know, to me, that's one of the, like, BVS has a terrible critic score. Man of Steel has a low. Like, there's all these movies that I think are really good that if you just go by the critic score, you know, I think you miss out on seeing.
I think the better representation is the greater audience. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, one group are humans and the other group are humans with their own opinions.
Yeah.
Go and see the movie if you want to see the movie. You know, don't take stock too much in critic score.
The nice thing I like about the audience score is it's a way bigger pool.
Yeah.
And there's no biases. You know what I mean? Like, there's no like inherent like little trade, not secrets, but like trade biases.
Well,
and
that's
stuff
the
like
thing.
that.
A lot of the
because critics are going to be biased.
Well,
you know,
a lot
in their
of
own-
critics get things,
but the greater audience has like thousands of votes versus like hundreds. Like it's better to have a wider pool.
Right.
For
Like
sure.
Sony's not sending me a package of steel books or stuff.
No, like
that they-
soaps and stuff
you know,
like that. Yeah. Blood soap.
to give a good, you know,
it's like a blood bag. It's like a blood bag. Yeah.
That'd be sick. But yeah, anyway, that's all I have to say.
Well, yeah, I think that's our Morbius.
The Amazing Morbius.
Amazing Morbius.
Morbius.
Spoiler review. So thanks for listening. And please like, comment down below. Let us know what you think about the movie. If you agree with me or if you agree with Jonah,
The other guy.
or Corey or Josh. Just let us know. Thanks for listening.
I'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
See ya.